So while a spangly Billy Big Bollocks flagship smartphone from the likes of Apple or Samsung will set you back the best part of $1,000, most people, including even quite demanding users, should be more than happy with a solid mid-range mobile that costs half as much. For around 400 quid these days, you can get yourself a seriously premium style blower packed with all kinds of fantastic tech. We're talking gorgeous OLED displays, feature-packed cameras, some serious grunt for gaming, bit of 5G action if you fancy some of that, and all for less than half the price of one of those iPhone thingies, giving you enough spare cash to spunk on a crate of single malt and a bumper pack of Pringles to see yourself through winter. So here's my personal pick of the very best budget-friendly smartphones that you can pick up for under 400 quid as we roll our merry way into 2022. And you can check out my full unboxing and review videos right here on Tech Spurt if any of them make you feel particularly tingly in the trouserial department. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now, if you live in the States and one of your priorities for your shiny new cell is the camera tech, well, you can grab yourself Google's fresh Pixel 5a. But if instead you live here in the Arctic plains of England, your only Google Pixel choice of this sort of budget is the Pixel 4a, because Google never actually bothered to bring the 5a to Byeeeeee. All the same, the 4a would actually be my preferred choice because it's pleasingly dinky at just 5.8 inches. So not only can I use it one-handed, but I can also slip it into my jeans with relative comfort and pleasure. You've got the same primary camera sensor as that snazzy Pixel 5 flagship from last year, so you can capture good looking photos at any time of day. The only part of the Pixel 5's camera setup that you're missing out on with the 4a is the ultra-wide angle shooter, which believe me is no big whoop. Packed into that dinky plastic frame is the Snapdragon 730G, which still handles everything including gaming without a grumble. The OLED screen is a stunner, and yeah, it is quite small, but I'd still happily watch a whole flick on this thing. And as this is a Google blower, you will of course enjoy a stock Android experience. It's already been upgraded to Android 12, the latest and freshest version of the OS, with timely updates going forward for the next couple of years at least. You've also got a headphone jack and NFC for your Google Pay shenanigans, but unfortunately there is sod all micro SD memory card support for expanding the storage. And all of this can be yours for just 350 quid at the time I shot this video, making the Pixel 4a a proper bargain. Now, one of the Pixel's most impressive rivals at this price point is the OnePlus Nord 2, which boosts the performance significantly versus Google's budget mid-ranger. The Nord 2 is actually powered by a custom MediaTek chipset, the Dimensity 1200 AI, and it's going to absolutely blaze its way through any game out there. Even the mighty Genshin Impact is handled with nary a bead of sweat, helped along by the dedicated gaming tools. You once again have an OLED screen, a 6.43-inch AMOLED, with the added bonus of a faster 90Hz refresh rate, plus a stereo speaker setup and serious audio smarts. So the Nord 2 is just as great for kicking back with some Netflix action or your favourite bold tech twat. You've got a 4500 mAh capacity battery and full support for OnePlus's crazy fast Warp Charge 65 tech. I'll give you a full charge from empty in just 30 minutes, making it one of the swiftest at recharging in this roundup. Oxygen OS is as sleek and customizable as ever, with the guarantee of 2 years of Android OS updates and 3 years of security updates. And while the 50 megapixel primary camera sensor can't capture pictures as cleanly and capably as the Pixel, it's still well up to the job of everyday snaps and sharp looking home movies. And if you're an old git like me who used to play video games back when they were two-dimensional and came on floppy disks the size of your house, well, you might just fall in love with the OnePlus Nord 2 Pac Man Edition. This handset costs the same and basically sports the same specs, but now you have a funky retro gaming design and theming that adds a barrel of bonus charm. Waka waka waka, etc. Great times. And also, if unfortunately your budget can't quite stretch up to that OnePlus Nord 2, well, you might want to check out the OnePlus Nord CE 5G instead, which costs 100 quid less, but it's still a very capable wee blower. That design is downgraded to plastic, while the stereo speakers are replaced with a mono setup instead, but you'll still get great sound and audio via Bluetooth or the headphone jack, and that AMOLED screen is another 90Hz Full HD cracker, so media fans should be plenty sated. And no, the battery doesn't charge quite as fast as the Nord 2's unfortunately, but the 4500 mAh cell still delivers all day battery life as long as you don't push it too hard. Gaming is smooth and satisfying still on lighter titles like PUBG and Call of Duty Mobile, helped along again by the gaming modes, while the Snapdragon 750G chipset handles everything else just as well. And sure, the 64 megapixel primary camera isn't as good as its more expensive siblings, but it's still up to snuff for those family pics and videos. And like the Nord 2 and all the other phones here, you can check out my full review of the OnePlus Nord CE 5G right here on Tech Spurt. Now, another impressive budget smartphone that you'll find around this price point is the Oppo Find X3 Lite. This Oppo blower is plastic around back but Gorilla Glass 5 up front with a small range of space-inspired colours on offer. And at 6.4 inches, it's again not as pleasingly compact as the Pixel phone, but it's not an absolute whopper either. Now the launcher of choice this time around is ColorOS, which hopefully, fingers crossed, touch and wood, etc., should be updated to the latest version 12 sooner rather than later, though Oppo smartphones don't tend to be the fastest when it comes to getting those updates, so patience is definitely a virtue. And I have fully covered ColorOS version 12 and all the spangly new features it brings in a separate video, so I won't bang on about it again here. And sadly, just like the Pixel, the Oppo Find X3 Lite does not have any support for micro SD memory cards. You're stuck with whatever storage you go for, which definitely sucks more nuts than a toothless squirrel. However, that 6.4-inch AMOLED screen is an absolute cracker, spaffing sharp visuals with crisp contrast right at your peepers. You got 90Hz refresh to boot. The speakers are perfectly fine, but you also get a headphone jack for enjoying your tunes, and gamers are well served by the Snapdragon 765G chipset backed by 8GB of RAM, which can blaze through all of the usual titles, complete with a dedicated gaming mode for giving you the edge over those filthy school kids and their obnoxiously youthful reactions. The Oppo Find X3 Lite also boasts full 5G support as well as all-day battery life, and there is 65-watt fast charging support in there as well, exactly the same as the OnePlus Nord 2. And this whole delightful package is rounded off by a 64-megapixel primary camera sensor, which is more than up to snuff for your everyday family snaps. Now, if you are all about performance, you should definitely be well tempted by the brilliant Poco F3. This can generally be nabbed for just over 300 quid, although you will find it cheaper in a sale if you time it well, and either way it is an effing bargain. Now what you got on this thing is Xiaomi's MIUI launcher in a slightly pockified form, and what this delivers is a mostly stock Android experience with a few bonus features thrown on there for good measure. Like that nifty all-encompassing control center I really can't get enough of. But it's the Snapdragon 870 chipset that really stands out here, offering impressive grunt for gaming. You can even run the mighty memory guzzling Genshin Impact on higher detail settings with next to no judders, helped by the Poco F3's dedicated cooling tech. Meanwhile, the battery life seems to have actually improved with age, while that 48-megapixel primary camera sensor can spaff out good-looking shots at almost any time of day. And you've also got full 5G support on top of Wi-Fi 6 connectivity, huzzah! Poco has packed in a 6.67-inch OLED screen with 120Hz max refresh and Full HD Plus resolution, although the sheer size of this display means that images aren't quite as crisp as some rivals. But you still get incredible contrast, full HDR10 Plus support, and colours are proper poppy on that vivid mode. Vibrant movies and photos will absolutely knock your socks off. The Poco F3 isn't absolutely perfect, unfortunately. There's no headphone jack on there, there's no stereo speaker setup, there's no microSD memory card support, and MIUI unfortunately doesn't tend to get updated with any sort of sense of urgency. So for instance, the time I shot this video, the Poco F3's security update is already 3 months behind. And if you don't think those issues will bug you too much, well, you should get on very nicely indeed with the Poco F3 at this sort of price point. It offers stunning value for money, and I've shot you a full 9-month re-review which has just gone live, so go check that out for more. Now another solid choice at this budget price is the Xiaomi 11 Lite 5G NE, where the NE stands for nasty ejaculation, or possibly new edition, I kind of forget which. This blower is similar to the standard Mi 11 Lite, but adds 5G support courtesy of the Snapdragon 778G platform, and that chipset can breeze through games of Genshin Impact, although under pressure it can get a little bit toasty. Battery life is good too, so you'll once again make it through a full day of heavy play on a single charge. The 6.55-inch screen is a stunner, supporting not just HDR10 Plus content but also Dolby Vision for impressively lifelike visuals. And on top of that, you've got 90Hz refresh for supported apps, and no issues with the audio either. On the software side, well, yes, this is a Xiaomi smartphone, so it's once again the mighty MIUI 12 in all of its batshit mental splendor, complete with those usual slightly tardy rollouts. While the 64-meg main camera sensor does a respectable job at this sort of price point, even if rivals like the Pixel are streets ahead. And again, my full review of the Xiaomi 11 Lite 5G NE is live right now. Now another fantastic option at this price point, one of my favourites, is Samsung's brilliant Galaxy A52s 5G, which goes to prove that Sammy can spunk out a perfectly good mid-range mobile as well as those super expensive flagship blowers. For 350 quid, you've got a choice of 4 colours, including this here awesome mint model. And yes, that is Samsung's very own overexcited candor there. This model is actually called Awesome Mint. Although where I come from, mint is just another word for awesome, so they've basically called it Mint Mint. They could have just called it Mint. and that would have been fine. Anyway, the design is pretty straightforward, but I do love the IP67 dust and water resistance, which is really tricky to find at this sort of price. Samsung fans will enjoy the feature-filled One UI experience that's not too different from those S21 flagships. While Sammy has promised that Galaxy A52s 5G owners will enjoy several years of Android OS and security updates going forward, so just like the Pixel and OnePlus phones, you are sorted for the near future. The 6.5-inch 120Hz Super AMOLED screen definitely gets a thumbs up, chucking out sharp Full HD Plus images complete with Samsung's trademark colours that positively pop, although you can opt for a more natural output in the display settings if you prefer. It's definitely a good one for your Netflix and Disney Plus and all that good stuff, despite the lack of HDR support. And you've also got the holy trinity of features on the A52s 5G as well. You've got a headphone jack, you've got NFC support for your contactless payments, and you've got microSD memory card support to expand the storage. And finding all three on a phone at this sort of price is generally quite bloody annoying. And there's once again 5G support thanks to the Snapdragon 778G chipset, which can handle even the most demanding games like Genshin Impact without fouling its drawers. While the 4500 mAh capacity battery kept me going all day long, no worries. Although the A52s 5G doesn't exactly charge particularly quickly, and even worse, you get a measly 15-watt charger bundled in the box, making it one of the slowest in this roundup. And Samsung's feature-packed camera is respectable, if not brilliant. It does occasionally struggle with moving subjects or tougher lighting conditions, and the video results are definitely a step down from those flagships, not too surprising given the steep drop in price. But overall, not bad at all. Now my final recommendation, one of my final favourite mid-range mobiles that you can grab right now for under 400 quid is the Realme GT Neo 2. Costs 450 euros here in Europe, so just squeaks under the £400 mark. My boring black model may somewhat lack the excitement of its bright blue or green siblings, but the 7-layer glass finish is very smart indeed. While flipping the Neo over reveals a 6.6-inch AMOLED screen of Samsung design with 120Hz refresh and HDR10 Plus support. Performance comes courtesy of a Snapdragon 870 chipset. You may remember that was also slapped in the Poco F3, so you can merrily game away all evening long. Now, Snapdragon also provides full 5G support, while the Realme GT Neo 2 also packs in a 5000 mAh capacity battery, so you can stay glued to that small screen, or rather pretty bloody large screen, for hours at a time. You've once again got delightfully nippy 65-watt fast charge, while the 64-megapixel rear camera is pretty decent for everyday shots, if once again not quite up to the powers of that pixel. So that right there, my lovelies, is my pick of my own personal favourite, the absolute best mid-range mobiles you could grab for under £400 as we dance our way merrily into 2022. However, as is often the way when I shoot these bloody best budget phone roundups, another competitor is just about to step into the arena to take it to all of these smartphones. I am talking about the Motorola Moto G200. This is a 6.8-inch monster, making it the biggest smartphone out of all the phones that I have talked about today. It packs in a 5000 mAh battery, a Snapdragon 888 Plus platform, which is pretty damn impressive for a budget-friendly smartphone. This thing's only found in like premium gaming phones usually, so it's absolutely nuts that it's in this thing. You've also got a 108 megapixel primary camera sensor, but there is no OLED display, it is just IPS tech all the way. And this should be hitting the UK for around £400 just before we hit 2022. So hoping to bring you a full unboxing and review of that soon, so stay tuned for more on that. As I said, please do poke, subscribe and ding that notifications bell so you don't miss out. And of course, I've only featured phones in this roundup that I've personally tested myself, so if I missed out your own pick of the best mid-range mobile right now, definitely clue me in on what a absolute bold twat I am down in the comments and let me know what you would have chosen instead. Thank you very much for watching, have a lovely rest of the week, love you!